Hello and welcome. This is the introduction to Virginia stop arm laws, or something I put together here. It is to show that the Virginia state legislative bodies, in my opinion, haphazardly created Virginia state laws that conflict with other Virginia state laws, the Virginia DMV manual, and federal guidelines. Those guidelines are found in the DMV manual in order to fine and or prosecute citizens for not adhering to, in some cases, what I deem an impossible standard. Um, there are about 10 Virginia laws I go over with this. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I put that in the warning, I believe, or the disclaimer. And this is my first video, so be gentle, and I highly recommend getting a pen and paper for this. It can get dry and run a lot. I try to do a quick analysis to the best of my ability as just a regular citizen, but I think when you pull it all together, you can see that there needs to be changes in the state of Virginia, especially around this. So sit back and enjoy. This is the Code of Virginia 46.2-880, Tables of Speed and Stopping Distances. What you have is the miles per hour, that's based off your speed limits, your feet per second, your automobile and truck brakes, how many feet they actually need to stop, your perception reaction time, that's very important. Please pay attention how it is at 1.5 seconds. And your stopping distances, that's going to be your brakes combined with your reactionary time. Scrolling down, this is for a vehicle in good condition, the number 1. And number 2, on a level dry stretch of highway, free from loose materials, so most ideal situations. If you come down here, you'll see the code sections and all the updates. Now, for some reason, I can't go prior to 1994, but for 2001, C145 will show you, and please remember the 2001 date, chapter 145. This is where the table used to stand prior to 2001. You'll notice that the average drive reaction time that is scored out here was at 3/4 of a second, and then they increased that to 1.5 seconds. So they doubled your reactionary time, and they also increased slightly the amount of feet you need to stop. I think they only increased it by a foot or two, but the big change was the perception reactionary time. We will compare this to 46.2-1090 later under the bus perception part. Title 46.2-830. This will give the Commissioner of the Highways the ability to classify and designate or mark state highways with a uniform system of traffic control devices. Basically, from what I interpreted it as, this will give the Commissioner and VDOT the authority to write memorandums with their engineers, and it actually gives them teeth. One of those memorandums for safety is TE-306.1. The memorandum will govern the method in which the timing of yellow change and red change intervals will be established for traffic signals operated by VDOT, or Virginia Department of Transportation. Again, the authority comes from 46.2-830. Scrolling all the way down, we have a formula here. It will show the yellow change interval in seconds. You also have perception reactionary time, which we discussed earlier, vehicle approach speed, deceleration rate, and the approach grade. Now, You only get 1 second of reactionary time on this, but also remember a traffic light is a fixed object that is suspended above all traffic. It is measured at 400 feet upstream, so the engineer will look 400 feet prior to the light or upstream. If there's a bend or turn in that road or a grade up or down, it will increase or decrease that yellow light notice. Fun part of this is that if the fixed speed is, let's say, 35 miles an hour, they calculate it at 42 miles per hour, so you get a 7 mile per hour increase. And one of the fun parts of this is at the very end, minimums, maximums, and rounding. The yellow change interval shall be no less than 3 seconds. So every traffic light in Virginia should have at least a 3-second yellow light. Not sure if that can always be said for other things. So that in consideration, we'll go ahead and move on to the next. This is the Commercial Driver License Manual for the state of Virginia. We'll go ahead and scroll down to Chapter 2. It's going to be Section 2-13. Zoom in a little. Okay. Sorry if you got motion sickness on that. 2.6.1 is going to be stopping distances. We're going to have perception distance plus reaction distance plus braking distance, and that's going to equal our total stopping distance. Now, the state of Virginia only use on 46.2-880 will only use 2 of these 3 requirements. But perception distance is going to be the time that your brain recognizes that there's an issue that you need to react to. Reaction time is literally your foot hitting the brake. And then below that is braking distance, which is the time when the brakes are applied that your vehicle will need to stop. Again, this is for dry road conditions and perfect brakes, or at least good quality brakes. Zooming in, you'll see figure 2.11. Now, when you look at 46.2-1090 in the future from the bus perspective, you're going to see conflictions with this chart. Figure 2.11, from what I could find in other states' manuals, every state I've run across, at least on the eastern seaboard, adopted this figure or hasn't changed this figure for their CDL manual. But as you can see, you'll have stopping distances for 15, 25, 35, 45 miles an hour. Again, Virginia will be slightly shorter than what they recommend here. And that ends this section.